Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback Four for this Sunday night. Lewis Hamilton's been robbed of the Formula One, but we won't go into that because Kev will fucking blow a gasket. Liverpool have beaten Aston Villa 1-0. Penalties all weekend, and we have loads and loads and loads to talk about. Of course, we are going to go through that game at Anfield yesterday. The return of Steven Gerrard as manager of Aston Villa yesterday as well. The referee, which Atwell was just a disgrace, and Newcastle next on Thursday evening. Get your comments in, get your opinions in, and we bring up as many as we possibly can within the show. If you hit the like button, fair play to you. If you haven't, go ahead and do it. If you haven't subscribed, try that as well. And if you're listening on audio download, click on the review button, leave us a 5-star review. It absolutely helps us out a lot. Seany, Keith and Kev with me this evening, and straight into it. We're going to skip by the Formula 1 because Kev's fuming. Might get onto it a bit later. But Seany, I'm going to come to you first. A hard-fought win at Anfield yesterday. 3 more points on a day where there was a good bit of drama at the top of the table with regards to the top sides. But hard-fought, but a good win, Seany, and a good 3 points keeps us moving.
Yeah, it's 3 points in a Christmas period, really. That's all it was. And like, I think I level at this Liverpool team up until probably I said after the Everton game that was like title winning football because we are under a bit of a pressure going into the second half. We held off, and then you win away at Wolves again, just showing that we have the pedigree again yesterday. You can't go too overboard on the performance or anything like that, in my opinion. It's just literally that time of the season where result is the only thing that matters, and we got the result. That was it. Like this was built. This game, it's weird. This is one of the weird ones. I avoided everything got to do with this game this weekend because of just the fucking furore around the whole Gerrard thing. I was like, I'm not getting reeled into this media spin that they want to create this frenzy that they wanted to make about Gerrard going back to Anfield. I thought it was an absolutely nothing story, really, to be honest with you. They were just trying to make it something that it wasn't. Like, obviously, I hold Gerrard in extremely high esteem as a Liverpool player, but he's Aston Villa manager now. I don't really care how he gets on, to be honest with you. That's the way I just see it. And they were trying to make this sort of subplot about it. It felt a bit WWE, to be honest with you. And I was kind of going, no, this is not for me. I'll just watch the game this weekend. And I avoided everything in the build-up and even the post-match. And look, it was a 1-0 win at home in December period, and that was it, really. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, like Kev, we're going to get into the starting lineup, the return of Gerrard, the approach from Villa, the referee, the goals, or the goal. But overall, your initial thoughts after it, was it just a case of, not the best, but it's another 3 points, and you know, we played okay, but not playing to our maximum and winning games. It's always a good sign, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we didn't set the world on fire by any stretch, but I thought we were good. We were very good in patches. Everything up to the final third. Emi Martinez had some really good. It wasn't when I watched it back. I saw some of the saves that Emi Martinez made. If that game was 3 or 4, the Villa wouldn't have had any complaints. Some of our play was outstanding. Some of the pressing, the counter pressing, the pressure that we put Villa under, we gave them absolutely nothing. And it wasn't until we scored that they decided to have a go, which is a shame because when they did, there's a few players there, Ramsey in particular. There's a few of them that can play if they're let off the leash, and it was almost a case of Villa decided we'll do our best not to get beat. If we nick something, great. And unfortunately, it looks like it's a pattern that might happen now for the rest of the season. But as for my initial thoughts after the game, relief is one thing because of the way the game ended. At 1-0, you never know. You never ever purely confident, but 3 points next. It's like chalking them off now, especially with the way the other results went yesterday. It was vital that we kept up with what's been going on around us. You know, it's the last thing you need at this stage of the season. You can fall away very quickly if you don't keep up momentum, and it was vital that we kept it going.
It's one of those where, like you say, you can fall away very quickly because I thought we were good on 1-1-0. I thought City were okay on 1-1-0, and I thought Chelsea were poxed to get a win yesterday. If you watch the tackle by the Leeds fella in the box, my God, what's he doing?
It was a weird day. It must have been a full moon yesterday or something, was it? It was a mad day
When you look at it, Chelsea go up, then they go, they go behind, they go 2-1 up. Gerrard comes on for Leeds, scores immediately, and you're thinking 2-2 draw, and then your man just kicks the back of the player, and I'm like, what are you doing?
His red card as well at Man City.
Around Jimenez.
It was mad.
It was just one of those.
It was
weekends.
one of them. If we had a drop points yesterday and you had a looked at everything as a whole,
we said that last night, didn't we?
We said that last night, didn't we? After the game, we said
it would have been criminal.
That sort of weekend, dropping points after what's going on at City and Chelsea, you'd be fucking.
And you would have been like, it's not for us, not this game.
It's just one of those. You'd be cancelling Christmas and everything.
Literally everything going against you.
Yeah, you'd be going bleeding mad. Jonathan says, I've listened to the Villa podcast and those guys admitted they got hammered just not on the scoreboard. Go and listen to the Villa podcast. That's brilliant. Conan and brother. Keith, is that a fair assessment when you look at your initial thoughts after? We battered them, but they got away with a 1-0.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when you watch the game in real time, Seany's right, it is nearly like WWE because of the circus that's going along with it, the whole Gerrard thing. It sort of adds to the tension. When you look back at the game, I think Kev touched on it, Emi Martinez, the difference he makes to that team, to have a keeper like him, an elite keeper in there, he made all the difference for them. Villa offered nothing. Their only chances came from their mistakes. And ultimately, I just think, it was a 1-0 win in December, which is brilliant, which is the sort of thing you have to do to win titles. But like most games, when you watch it back, you look at it and you think, no, that was a handy enough one. Obviously, the longer the game goes on without a goal, you're starting to think, right, when is this going to come? And at the moment, I'm not thinking, is it? I'm thinking when it's going to come. And it did come yesterday. Now, we're going to come on to the ref later on. We won't start on him yet. But I thought, the circus made it seem a bit worse than it actually was. I think Liverpool were good. I think there was a few players were way below form. But I think overall it was good. It was routine. If other teams are doing that, I watched the City and Wolves game. I'm not a City fan. Obviously you want them to drop points and all that, but when you watch a game that's not your own team and you're not sort of shitting yourself or hiding behind the sofa, you look at it with different eyes. City went and sort of took care of business with Wolves, didn't really offer much of a threat, and Liverpool done the same with Villa. But we look at it differently. Our spectrum is different because we're like, oh bollocks, they're on the attack. Oh no, Ollie Watkins or Danny Ings, and they do have players, but Villa set up the way everyone's going to set up against us now. Villa, they went with Jacob Ramsey and Ashley Young sort of on the wings, and they're not wingers. They're not even really attacking midfield players. Do you know what I mean? Like Ashley Young he's a left back the last time I seen him. And Jacob Ramsey, I like Ramsey. I think he's a good player. I think he's very good. And I think he's more of a deeper player than that. So Villa set their stall out. We got through. They hung on. Let's be honest. The decisions that we didn't get, they hung on a bit, and we got through in the end.
Look what people are having a dig at Villa for their approach. Look what happened when they did have a go. We went clean through, bleeding 3-on-2 2 or 3 times in the second half, and that's Gerrard said that in the post match. Like he said, you can win 1-0, you can get beat 1-0 here, but you can easily get beat 3 or 4 if you have a go, and that's exactly what happened. Like we went clean through 2 or 3 times, and Salah and Jota are both very wasteful. So it was just one of them. It was one of them where we weren't quite on it in the final third, but we could have we were comfortable. I don't think they had a shot on target.
They didn't have one shot on target. No, they had that early free kick off Douglas Luiz where he tries to be clever and he hits the side netting, and then I think they've 2 other ones that. One's a fucking mile wide, and then there's a big shout later on in the game which we'll talk about. But
all these are all joint killing now. Like this is not like coming to Anfield under Rodgers or Kenny or Hodgson, where teams they don't come there and they don't go there anymore thinking they can get a result. They really don't. It's a bonus if they do.
Sides saw what we did to Southampton when Southampton came and had a go, and fair play to Southampton for coming and having a go, but they're still suffering for off the back of that because they're getting
Getting battered
hidings
by
left, right,
everyone.
and centre now. Yeah,
Yeah,
a
but
hiding
have
at Anfield can really hurt you.
have we really got to that step? Like, I get it. Like, I'm not being funny. If I was managing a team going to Anfield tomorrow, I'd have fucking 11 fellas on the goal line and hoping the ball just keeps hitting them for 90 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? Because you'd be that terrified. But
But
when you
God,
look,
we were at the point game, right?
yeah,
And it's literally the best football I've ever seen us play on that club for the first half an hour. And we were literally a disallowed goal away from going in at 3-0.
yeah,
And that would have been game over. And the game flips on that. Do you get me? And they score from across.
yeah,
So that's what you need to get a result at Anfield is a bit of luck going both ways. It's not like Brighton came to Anfield and had a go and got something off us. They were blessed to not be out of sight after a half an hour. So you need luck, you know, and you need it. We'll get on to him. Like Atwell was fucking less than useless yesterday.
yeah. Well,
So-
I want to keep a special segment for him. But Shawnee, I'll stick with you because when we seen the lineup yesterday, Alisson, Trent, Matip, VVD, Robertson, Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago, Mane, Ox gets the shout up front. Salah, people were a bit surprised by that, but Jota didn't train much all week by the sounds of it, and Origi had a slight knock to his knee, I think they said. Were you surprised he went with Ox though, and he didn't go, you know, Salah up top and put someone out right or do something a bit different? Were you surprised by that with Ox in the line?
Only when I saw Origi wasn't on the bench.
Yeah.
Because the first thing you do when you see the team is you look at the starting 11 and then you have a look at the bench. And I'm saying, he has Ox in the 9 there. What's going on there? Obviously, we know how big he is on players having 4 weeks training. So that's why Jota doesn't start. But when I seen Origi wasn't there, I was thinking, all right, I can see what he's trying to do. And I think Klopp just looks at it going, all right, I'm down a couple of bodies this week. What 11 can I put out here that's going to get me a result? And I think if you look at it, that was it. And it worked. You know what I mean? It's gotten past the stage now where I don't pay much attention to what sort of 11s he's putting out because you just know a mixed match of anything. Look, if he'd have thrown Tsimikas in there yesterday, none of us would have blinked an eye there at Kanate. I think that's the perks now of the squad that we have, that you kind of think that, oh, well, maybe if there's one or two missing, we're going to be in bother. But I don't feel like that anymore. So I don't see as much emphasis on the starting 11s because once you have that core there, that spine, and Mane and Salah in the team, I think you could have put anybody through the middle there yesterday and we could have got a result. And we've seen him use Ox there in pre-season, and Ox has been very good lately, although yesterday he struggled. I thought he was very poor yesterday. Up until yesterday, I thought Ox has been in his best frame of form since the injury in the Champions League. So I kind of had no quarrels with it really, and I'm not going to lash Ox on it because it's obviously not natural to him, that position, and he did struggle yesterday. He did struggle, and he wasn't the only one. There was a few who were on that par yesterday, I thought.
Yeah, like Kev, you know, people did point at Ox and say I have him, and he's not in it and stuff like that, but like, let's be honest about it. It is a blow when you don't have Jota in games like that where teams are going to sit back. You know, my only gripe with Villa was that they sat back fair, but even when they tried to get out, they didn't really. They just got out to a certain point and then went, right, that's enough of us, we'll just go back now. But it's hard for Ox, isn't it? If that's a bit more of an open game, he probably has more effect on it. But with Villa wanting to be so deep and defend as a unit, Jota's movement is huge because he gets across defenders, he pulls defenders here, there and everywhere and gets chances. He's good in the air. It's probably one that just didn't suit Ox for me.
No, he had that one cracking chance in the first half.
He whips it towards the top corner.
Well, just went over the bar. But other than that, look, it's a different game. If you're playing in an 8 and the game is in front of you, as opposed to playing in a 9 when you're either backing into Tyrone Mings or trying to play other players in around you, it's a completely different game. When I saw the lineup, I thought, he's going to go with a diamond. He'll play Ox at the top of a diamond or play Ox in the 8 and Henderson at the top of a diamond. Fair enough, that'll be fine. But it's something, I suppose, at the other side of it, he's got to try and see what this is going to look like with January half in mind. The only thing I'd say is Taki is... I would have started Taki on the left and Sadio through the middle if it was a game that we had to get a result. But if you wanted to experiment and see what Ox is like in that position, fine, this is a game you can do it in at home against a side that you expect to beat. as hard as it was going to, we knew it wasn't going to be easy, but you still expect to beat an Aston Villa. So I was, it was a bit of a head scratcher, but, only for a few minutes. I mean, the Origi injury is unfortunate, but I'd rather have him have that knock now than have that knock on the 30th of December.
Yeah.
At a time when we're going to need him.
Yeah, because there's all sorts going on with this AFCON now. There seems to be different news breaking on it every day. Keith, I want to talk to you about the return of Steven Gerrard. Seany touched on it earlier. Klopp was brilliant during the week. I think it was Seany, you said to me earlier, he was brilliant. He's just laughing at it. He's making jokes like, I'm not answering any questions about Steven Gerrard. He's asked straight out, do you think Gerrard will be Liverpool manager? Like, yeah. Once the time is right, I think he will be. He was brilliant all week, Klopp. I thought Gerrard could have lightened up a little bit about it. But then again, he's trying to show that he's the Aston Villa manager and he doesn't want to talk too much about Liverpool, which is fair enough. But overall, the return yesterday, I thought it was fairly muted. Did you?
It wasn't as bad as I expected, to be honest. Look, we knew Steven Gerrard was going to get a good reception off the Liverpool fans. That goes without saying. They blasted out a song. Wasn't overly impressed with that, to be honest. Sing it when we're 4-0 up on them, you know what I mean? Don't be cheering for the opposition manager.
Villa fans.
No, the Liverpool fans sang it. There was on my stream, my channel, not stream, my channel. I heard very clearly them singing it. But look, maybe it was the Villa fans. I don't know. But look, it was muted. I know what you're saying, Gav. He's the manager of Villa, and while Klopp is getting these questions all week, I'm sure Gerrard's getting them as well in his pressers and his, his side of the house. And he has to play it down. He has to play it off. He's the Villa manager. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to be going in and he doesn't want memes going around like.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't want to go in and do what Gerrard Houllier done, which was wave and tap the cop every time he sang at him. The last time he turned up,
fist pump if we get a tackle. Like that.
It was like I remember Villa fans going mental at the time.
Yeah, and you can understand it as well. It's at the end of the day, I think most Villa fans know. Look, Steven Gerrard, it's the circle of life. Rangers fans seem to be sort of up in arms that he decided to go to a Premier League job. But I think the Villa fans understand that if the time comes and the Liverpool job comes available and he's still at Aston Villa and that job becomes available, he's going and he gets the job, that they know he's going to go and take it. Do you know what I mean? So they know the story, but they don't want them bleeding eulogising about Liverpool or praising Liverpool. I think it's a hard one for Gerrard, to be honest, to have to deal with. Isn't it? Yeah, it really is. You can't do it. Klopp's in a much easier position because of his persona. Yeah, he can't. And, in the games that he's been there, I know he didn't score, but he's very animated when he scored. He's usually a bit more animated. He just stood there. He was a bit muted. And I just think he was in a bit of a shitty position. Do you know what I mean? I think if he'd have rather Liverpool played Villa before he took that job at Anfield. Do you know what I mean? And
I'm probably being a bit harsh on them when I say like he could have lightened up a little bit, but he was probably getting questions all the time. But what I would say is, Seany, I think what he does after the game probably says more to me, where he's kind of going, as much as he's telling you he's Villa manager and I don't care about Liverpool and stuff, it was an awkward situation for him internally, because he's asked by Michael Owen after the game about returning to Anfield, and he absolutely stitches Michael Owen up. When Michael Owen is saying to him about, I hated returning to Anfield as a player, and he was like, well, so would I if I played for Man United. And you kind of, was that a bit of a release for him, Seany, where he goes, look, I didn't get the result, but it was a weird day for me. It's over now and I can kind of lighten up and say something, because Michael Owen's a good friend of his, and he chooses to absolutely string him up after the game to release that tension.
Look, the way I see it is, right, Gerrard literally dedicates his life, his career to Liverpool Football Club, when, if we're being honest, he could have went and played for anyone at any time throughout. And look, stuff happens with Chelsea and all, but you cannot question the fella's loyalty to Liverpool and what he gave up. He gave up the better part of his career, dragging us through the mire. He did. And look, he got rewarded for it. He wins Champions League, doesn't quite get there with the league. Like, you can't expect the fella to have no feeling. He was in a position there where he literally couldn't have won, because if he had went out and start waving at the cop and all, they would have been saying, look at this fucking idiot. Who does he think he is? What's he at? He's Villa manager now. He comes out, he's coy, and everyone's going, what's the story with him? He's at the shrinking. He didn't. He just knew himself that there's going to be plenty more opportunity for Gerrard to get his flowers at Liverpool. It doesn't have to come in his first game there as a manager for Aston Villa. And he came out after the game and said, all that matters to me is that I have the support of the Villa fans. And they seem to be really taken to him. The players do as well, and the fans, because, look, although it didn't go his way yesterday, he's gotten some good results since he's gone in there. And they've gone up the table. And that's all that can be expected. So I think the Gerrard thing should be put to bed. The whole idea of it, people are afraid of their life at the thought of him managing Liverpool before his time. That he's not got the qualifications.
I think it goes both ways, Sean. I think there's people terrified of managing, and then there's people terrified that he won't. You know,
it shouldn't. It
doesn't matter at all.
It's exactly not for now.
At the end of the day, listen, we don't know.
Talking about something that might or might not happen in 3 years' time.
But the thing is, right? We don't know how Gerrard's going to do in his managerial career. He could be a shining light at Aston Villa, and you know, listen, his next step is definitely Liverpool. He could be all right, but at the end of the day, if Jurgen Klopp comes along in 2023 and says, lads, listen, I'll tell you what, sign me up for another 4 fucking years. I'm staying here till 2027. No one will give Steven Gerrard a second thought over the Liverpool manager's job, because literally the best we've had, in my opinion, since Bob Paisley will decide that he's staying for another fucking 3 years.
That's the thing. If Gerrard has it in his head now that he's going to manage Liverpool, he never will. Because it won't. It'll hang over him and it'll weigh on him. Yeah. And that's the thing. So
he needs to concentrate on his own career.
What I take away from him most is and you know, like these people who've been around him, they always say the one thing about Gerrard, and they say he's always obsessed with being the best, and there's not a harder worker than him, and his attention to detail and his will to win and his drive to be the best he can be separate him from anyone else. And it did as a footballer. You hear people talking about how every day at training, if he wasn't the best, that was no good to him. He's obviously carrying that into his managerial role. Obviously, the fucker's going to want to ask any of us if we want to manage Liverpool. You're going to say, yeah.
Sure, I play fucking golf 3 times a week. I couldn't be managing a football team.
It needs to be shelved. People got whirled into this fucking media hysteria all week, and that's all it was, because they'd fuck all else to talk about. And when that was finished yesterday, what did they do? They got on Mo Salah's back.
Yeah,
that's what they done. So
you know what, Sean? It wasn't even all week. It's since he got that job. It's been highlighted.
This game is 3 weeks away. It's 2 weeks away.
And it's been
constant. Exactly. Like I said, it's like bleeding. It's like the WWE. When they start milking the fact that bleeding WrestleMania is going to be on in February in the middle of December, because people are going to stick around and wait for that and watch that, and that's all it is.
Well, Sean,
this idea of this being a formality that he's going to be the Liverpool manager is nonsense.
And I'd say Gerrard would be the first one to say it.
And I think he has
said it. He has said it. And I suppose he said it through Carragher. Is like if he gets the Liverpool job, it'll be on merit. And he wouldn't want it any other way.
Exactly. And I don't think Klopp should have said what he said either yesterday, to be honest.
What's that?
I don't think he should have said that, to be honest.
That he's going to manage Liverpool manager.
Yeah, he shouldn't. He should have just said, I don't know. How the fuck am I supposed to know?
Yeah, because I think, but the thing is, if Gerrard does a good job at Villa and goes to one more job probably after that and does another good job, I think the chance of being Liverpool manager is very, very high. And I think Klopp knows that.
He's only going to get that job if he's good enough, so I wouldn't worry about it.
But that's what I just said to you. If he does a good job and does a good job somewhere else, he might do it. Mike in the World wants to know where you got your jacket, Shawnee. He wants
it. It's not actually FAI. It's
You Boys in Green.
It's an Irish podcast. It's called Second Captains, but they have a store called Coibig, and they just do a lot of retro looking Irish gear. Yeah. And it's
Coybig, isn't that right?
Yeah, Coibig, yeah. And they do loads of stuff. Right. They do it's nice. It's warm enough for these months, but
are they paying you for this advertisement or?
No. Just Mike and the wall will be bleeding. You can pay me for the link if you wanted that bad.
Okay. I think it's coybig.com probably, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, or .ie, one of those.
One of them dodgy streams Keith was talking about.
One of the streams where fucking Keith was watching and there was Birmingham City fans singing Gerrard's name. One of those.
It was a stream like a babbling brook. It was a river. That's what I meant. If anyone was watching, it was
Kev, we've looked at the Villa approach, and you know, I was kind of nearly going to have a go at them, but you lads have kind of talked me down because, in fairness, you know, teams are turning up like they're I don't know how good the template is, but it's definitely a template to try go and play Liverpool. I don't know how successful it is, but it's definitely a template that seems to be being put forward, not being massively successful. It's probably keeping scores down a bit, but I'm okay with that because I just know Liverpool are playing deadly if people are bringing that out. But the referee, Kev, I want to bring you first out on Stuart Atwell, because like I'm running out of here. Right, I am. I've noticed it over the last couple of years. Keith would back me up, and we're losing a lot of hair. Shawnee's a brilliant head of hair, but
yeah, I love the head of hair.
Yesterday, I was fucking pulling my hair out with this fella. Like genuinely, I don't even know if he was watching the fucking game.
I was halfway through when he didn't give the first pen, the one on Sadio. After I saw the replay, I thought, okay, VAR's going to check this.
Did you think it was
going to have to go now? I did the first one and the third one. I thought were pens. The one on Robbo, I thought nah. But there was 5 or 6 incidents in that game yesterday that he blatantly missed, and it's probably my biggest bugbear with referees because I fully support VAR. I think it needs to be rolled out much more, but much better. The idea that in 2021 rolling into 2022, we're not privy to the conversation that's being had between a referee and a VAR referee is baffling to me, because every other sport that has this system, you hear that conversation. We're not thick. We understand the rules, and we want to understand the rules more. So by hearing that discussion, we're going to understand the referee's thinking, and we can turn around and say, okay, I can see where he's coming from, or he's as blind as a bat and he shouldn't be in the job. But at least we'll have a notion on what he's saying and what he's thinking. And my other bugbear is the fact that we've got the best players and managers from around the world in the Premier League, but we're stuck with, no offence, a bunch of English referees who are in the safest job humanly possible because they're protected year in, year out by a nominated ref who goes on Sky or goes on BT and protects every decision they make. And across every game, every single game this weekend, there was a howler of decisions that were made. I mean, the ones in our game were by nowhere near the worst. No. I mean, the worst one was at Man City by a country mile.
The West Ham one was bad as well. I saw that one earlier.
I saw that one as well, yeah. That was bad. The Leicester one was...
Maddison.
Yeah, that was bad enough.
It's horrendous.
But I still...
He's literally horizontal before he makes contact with your man. It's ridiculous.
But the Moutinho one is the worst of the lot because of the excuse they come out with and said they didn't have the television angle that we needed to give a definitive answer. My whole. Because we all had it. We all saw it. Because the same picture, still picture that they gave later on in the day was off the TV picture that we all saw. So he's talking out through their arse. It baffles me beyond belief that this is £1 billion industry and they cannot get the basics right after they've been given every opportunity to do it right. And there's no excuse anymore. It's not like years ago when they were really badly paid. They're on really good money now. And the money that they're able to earn when they retire is huge. So, I mean, Atwell yesterday, it started bad and then he compounded it with every contentious decision that needed to be made by not even looking to say, did I make a mistake or not? He decided in his own head, I'm right, the rest of the world is wrong, and I'm the one with the whistle, so I'm in charge. And that's basically the way it went for the whole game. It was by pure luck that he didn't try to level it up with the Alisson one.
Oh, I want to get to that later because I felt that was coming. I did.
If that had been given, there is no way on earth he would have overturned it. Not a hope in hell.
No. Yeah. The super chat from Ramez Khalil says the performance almost felt emotional, like a derby display from the last few seasons. Ox in the front three makes me wonder about Taki's place in the squad. The refs are the worst thing about this league. Listen, we've had endless debates, Keith, about VAR and this. And me and Kev on talking about about the process. And again, the processes are just all wrong for me. But for a guy to go around and give that sort of refereeing performance is bad, right? Go back 5 years, that's a bad refereeing performance. But in today's game, with all the fucking technology they have, all the angles they have, and all the options they have to them, that is horrendous yesterday from that referee. Horrendous. And not only for him to be that bad, but for the people to be watching on screens and assisting him to actually just fucking give him free carte blanche over this to let him go and do it was even worse, Keith. But bad for both sides, yeah, I agree to a point. But some of the shouts for Liverpool penalties that weren't given, for me, were just insane yesterday. Insane.
They were, Gav, but it's the blind leading the blind here. But until you can get a sort of independent body looking after VAR, it will never improve. Because Lee Mason was the VAR yesterday, and he's an absolute bleeding shyhawk of a ref. Stuart Atwell is deplorable. He's not fit to be a ref. The first time Stuart Atwell got famous is because he gave a goal that didn't go near the bleeding goal in the Championship a few years ago. He is absolutely deplorable. And you know what? The penalties were bad. What happened with the one where we're going through, we seem to get fouled, the ball breaks and he calls it back for a free kick for Villa. Like, what the fuck was going on? Some of his decision making was just absolutely ridiculous. Emi Martinez delaying the game. He goes over, he's talking to, I think it's Tyrone Mings, I'm going to book him.
Just
goes
book him.
over, just has a bleeding chat to him.
Just book him though.
Doing that, by having a chat to him, you're letting him do it again.
Yeah, but
a strong ref has to nip that.
Just go over and go, listen, I'm not messing. There's a booking. Do it again and I'll send you off.
Exactly.
Simple as that.
That's
and
what he needs to do.
As much as we give out about the Raul Jimenez thing, right, where it fouled against him, he's given a yellow. That's argument.
That's stupidity on his part, though.
It is, but the thing is, Shawnee, it's argument. You could argue, was it yellow or not, right? And he's taking a free and a hit, whatever, right? But it happens because he gives me yellow and doesn't get out of the way, right? And as much as we can argue over, is it right, is it wrong? The referee has made decisions on it. Like, going over and telling the captain, I'm going to book your goalkeeper, just fucking book him. Because if you have it in your mind that you're going to book him and he's actually starting to annoy you, why are you talking to his captain? Just go over and book him and then turn to the captain and go, tell him if he does that again, I'm sending him off. I don't give a fuck. If he does it, I don't care if he delays this goal kick for 30 seconds after I've booked him, I'll send him off before he gets a chance to kick another football. But he was all over the fucking place.
He was terrible, Gav. He was terrible. And like that, as far as the penalties go, I think he couldn't give I think he could have given the Villa one at the end. But the more I've looked back at that, I'm not too sure it was a penalty because I think Alisson gets his hand on the ball and I don't think there's enough contact on Ings.
BBC showed that he makes perfect contact with the ball.
And and I think that's on Matip in the build-up.
In the build-up, Matip was pushed.
Would have nullified anyway. Nullified it.
I'm with Kev on that, though. If he gives that, he doesn't have a turn and there's no chance.
No. I agree. Yeah, he's not overturning anything. So I think the ones in the first half at Liverpool, we can say they're soft. I think the Mane one was a penalty as well. I think he's pulling whether
Mane
it's
was a penalty all day. That's what you know he's got a penalty for.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: the Mane first one, right? There was a foul by Matip on Watkins later on in the first half for the exact same thing.
Sorry, I have to cut across you. Sorry, quickly to get this out of the way. Michael the Wolf says, Shawnee, what size are you? I'm trying to measure my shoulders against yours on the telly.
Extra medium.
Extra medium. Don't even know if that exists, but go with it. Shawnee, what size are you in that, Shawnee?
Extra large.
Extra large, yeah, because Shawnee's a big lad.
Shawnee's a big unit, yeah. He's a unit. No medium.
So if Shawnee's about 6'2", well built, so that's extra large. So just base it
I
off that.
feel like playing Michael Buffer here is calling me out, playing down up me blade tail.
And in the red corner, fighting out with in there.
Just put your arms out like that, Shawnee, so we can get a nice.
Do you know what, Shawnee?
measurement.
Would you not go out and get a measuring tape and start measuring your chest and all that sort of stuff?
Hold on, I have one there. I'll grab it now in a minute.
Go on, grab it there and measure yourself
Behind
up for a
plants,
week in the
it's
wood.
brilliant, it's behind
But go
plants
on,
as well.
Kev, what were you saying?
There was a foul earlier on in Matip, almost identical, where Matip pulled Watkins. Watkins went down, Matip got... I don't know if he got booked or not, but there was a foul on.
No,
for the
Matip
almost
doesn't get booked
identical-
yesterday.
Van
No, but it
Dijk,
was-
is it?
No, it was definitely Matip on... Oh, it was Van Dijk, yeah, on Watkins.
That's early.
it
That's
was
where the
booked.
free kick from Douglas Luiz comes from.
It was an almost identical foul to what Mane won in the box, where he just got whipped around by his arm. Now, look, is it soft? Yeah, but it's a foul. It's in the
Yeah.
box. You give it, or you just let a free for all go, and that's the problem. There's no
But
consistency
the
with any of this.
the argument always is, Kev. Oh, if he gives that, he give it every time. And like, no, I'm going to back you up here because right. Kieran B says Arsenal were robbed against United. Tommy Yasu should have had a penalty before, just before half time when Maguire shit his togs and pulled it back 100% foul. Right now,
Yeah.
and the argument after that one was, if you give it for that, you have to give it for everything. No, because they stopped doing it. And if you remember, if you go back, probably
Russia World Cup.
3 or no, not even before that. I think it's before that. Martin Skirtle had an awful habit of absolutely jockey backing on people in the box. And this came out that if you're caught pulling on people in the box, you will be given penalties. And he did give a few, and it stopped him. And if it stops Martin Skirtle from doing it, it'll stop anyone from doing it because he was like had no interest in the football or anything that was going on. He just wanted to manhandle some fella. You know what I mean? He was literally like bleeding. He was like a wrestler in there. You know what I mean? It was like Kurt Angle. He
Looked
was
like
in
a
the
wrestler
box.
and all, to be fair.
Yeah, it was mad. So I don't go along with that. It'll stop it. Just make the decision on its own merits. But he wasn't making any decisions yesterday,
No.
Kev. Like, he wasn't.
He was
Simple as
brutal
that.
bad.
I
He
think
really
we're
was.
getting
The thing is,
better
if
though because I don't remember having this conversation that too often. This is the first time I can remember we're doing a deep dive on a ref and it's December. So we're going in the right direction
Yeah.
in one way. But that was across the board yesterday, it was shocking. Like you can kind of you'd excuse a ref for not giving fouls if he's letting the game flow, but he wasn't because he was blown for stupid things going both ways. It was just it was shocking. He made the game a shite watch. He did. He really ruined the game.
He ruined it. Yeah, I agree. He really did.
I didn't enjoy it at all because it was literally there was no ebb and flow to the game. It was literally for little nippy fouls, bleeding a quarter way into the bleeding final third, and he's just bleeding pulling up players for nothing, stupid fouls, and
I'm making them
was a
move back
terrible
2
performance
yards
yesterday.
to
And I tell
take.
you what, bleeding. Darren McGallagher will be on overtime this weekend because
I'm
there was
looking
some
forward to
shit-
Dale ESPN's thread tomorrow on some of the decisions that were made because that'll be well worth looking at. When
Yeah, he does a great thread on
he
Monday
does a
morning,
great
doesn't he?
thread.
Laura says if it's a foul outside the box, it's a penalty inside the box. I agree with you 100%, but it's never going to work that way, Laura. It simply isn't. And the funny thing is, right, you should crack down more in the box than you do in midfield, but it goes the opposite way. Because the chances are if you're fouling in the box, you're stopping some sort of opportunity or some sort of really dangerous attack. In midfield, it could be just something, pull on someone's shoulder, and you could have 10 men behind the ball. It's still a free kick, and it'll be given.
And it'll be booking as well
In
because
midfield.
you're stopping a counter.
But exactly, but in the box, they're terrified to make the decision, and I don't know, it's unbelievable. But what really gets to me is that these guys are doing this, and they have more options, angles, cameras, whatever they want at their disposal, and A, they don't use it, or B, the people that are assisting them continue to let them go and do it.
This shite with the offside is fucking brutal
Oh,
as
it's
well.
mental.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
I thought they
And
got rid
that's-
of that, and it's worse.
And
now.
I wouldn't mind. I think, like, on the other side of the coin, the one thing I much prefer about the VAR now is I agree with Kevin in the sense that we should be able to hear what they're saying, but I think less is more with VAR. There we go. Jesus Christ, I should be a spokesman for the Blade PF or whatever. PGMOL.
Yeah, you'd be able to buy loads of tracksuit tops.
I think the fact that we don't see them drawing the lines and all anymore has helped big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
But that was
Yeah.
down to the TV companies deciding that
I just
in conjunction with the PGMOL, it says, look, this is creating more confusion.
yeah.
UEFA have it probably better, where a couple of minutes later you'll see the definitive image of what's what, and you just get on with it, and you trust it because you don't see And you don't have people sat on Twitter trying to draw lines with a ruler and
Remember
a
that?
magic marker. And taking
Remember
photos.
people used to be putting rulers up on the tellies now and going, look, that's not even straight, that line. Red Steve says, Gav, disagreeing with Laura. It's not too late to go on the Santi's naughty list. I don't know if I was disagreeing. I was actually agreeing with her, but saying it'll never happen. Go on, Johnny, were you going to say something there?
But the lines in the pitch, I found it more useful than anything that day. Because I'm sort of going like, because when the camera's at an angle that way, it's kind of hard to tell where the line is. But you can always judge by the line on the pitch.
Just the gardener over the technology.
Exactly.
But the
Unless
Everton game the other night,
park and he's like blading LSL, and they've had a few cans before they're marking the pitch, and he's blading S-hooks all over the place in the middle of the park.
Who was the groundsman that used to never do straight lines? St. Mary's. The Southampton groundsman used to do all sorts of brilliant designs on St. Mary's pitch. And Anfield was always kind of those big boxes, you know, like the big wide lines. They were never thin. They were big boxes as you would look at Anfield for years and years, going back to the late 80s. It was always big boxes, you could say. But Southampton, I'd say the VAR came along and said to Southampton, listen, you have to knock this on the head. He was doing brilliant designs on the pitch.
Yeah, he was cracking, wasn't he?
But look, the ref, what can you say?
he was dirt. That's what you can say.
Keith, I come to you. We get the breakthrough through Salah, and he makes it 1-0 after being taken down in the box, and it's a penalty. There's no doubt.
Stonewall penalty.
I seen on Twitter last night people trying to make the argument that it wasn't a penalty, and then making, as Seany said earlier, making the biggest talking point of the weekend when you see what happens at City and other places, that the biggest talking point of the weekend was Salah's a penalty. Like, what the fuck is going on, Keith?
Gav, these are people with big platforms, people with, a lot of people listening to them. And when a lot of people, when you get people like that saying it, people are thinking it's true. That's as clear a penalty as you'll ever see. This shite about, Salah makes contact with Mings. He doesn't make contact with Mings. Salah's gone through. Mings is scampering. Salah's cutting, slows down to cut it onto his left foot with him being left footed playing on the right side. And Mings clips him. He hits him twice or three times to take him down. Like, I don't care if Salah rolls around afterwards. I want their players doing more of that because we're not getting decisions. That's their second penalty in the league. City's first penalty or something in the league this season. You're getting contact. You're missing out on possibly in the first half 3 penalties that you should have got that you don't get. And you get this, and all of a sudden, the narrative is Salah wins a penalty, Salah earns a penalty, Salah buys a penalty. He fucking got fouled, like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? Is there anyone in this chat that thinks that wasn't a foul? Is there anybody, that let's be, it's hard to be objective because we're Liverpool fans, okay? But when you look at that incident, and look, let's say at James Maddison's one today, an absolute scandalous dive.
The thing is, I seen things like, I don't think he dived, but it's not a penalty. Right? Now, if you think that's not a penalty, you definitely think he's dived.
Yeah.
Right? My thing is, and I know what you're saying, it's hard to be neutral when you're a Liverpool fan. When I looked at it, I always try to look at it from the other side. Always. Because because it's easy to go, it's a fucking penalty, and clearly it's not, Gav, stop. But he shifts it past Mings, who doesn't back himself to be physical enough with Salah, right? And should be able to cover that sort of ground to get at him. Mings makes a tackle, or tries to make a tackle, actually doesn't make contact with the ball or Salah. But because of the angle he makes the tackle at, when Salah takes a forward step on, Mings has nowhere to go but hit the ground. Because it's not a sliding tackle, but he's stretched so far, there's no way he's going to stay up. And then the contact comes because Mings' own kind of momentum takes him into the back of Salah, who hits the ground and goes, what the fuck? It's a penalty. But what annoys me the most, Keith, is the fact that we're all talking about this Salah thing, and nobody's talking about anything else that's going on.
Mings doesn't complain about it.
No.
So Mings knows it's a penalty. Do you know what I mean? Mings knows it's a penalty. I'm looking at that and I'm saying, like, this will have to be like an assault to get a penalty off Stuart Atwell and Lee Mason today. And they couldn't overturn that. That's as clear a penalty as you'll get. But the narrative is that it's Salah. And Salah goes down too easy. And it's disgraceful. Do I think it's racism? I don't know if it's racism.
It's
Is
not.
it xenophobia?
It's just a jealousy. No, it's a jealousy. That's all for me. It
I
is.
don't know. I think there's
No,
a
I
bit of
think-
xenophobia
I
in
think
it.
there's
It's clickbait.
There is undertones.
There is undertones.
There
There's
is.
undertones.
There's
And
no
goals
doubt
team.
about it.
There definitely is. If that's Harry Kane, that's clever centre forward play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And Harry Kane does that. It's clever centre forward play of Harry.
Well, I'm looking
That's what
forward
we
to
paid
the.
for.
I'm looking
And
forward
that's
to the
what it
Maddison
was.
outrage.
Well, the Maddison one today for knowing that Seany, the ball's played to the right hand edge of
Man
the
on
box.
ball,
He takes
and
he takes a touch
he
inside.
forces Mings to make.
Sorry, Sean, you went.
And Mings
Right.
accidentally put the ball.
Yeah, like it's a penalty. It's not a penalty for a tackle. It's a penalty for momentum that causes Salah not to be able to shoot or move on with the ball. Takes the back of his legs with his own. I think it's actually Mings' right leg that catches Salah because he's fallen, and then Salah goes down. And it's funny because Salah's expecting the tackle. He's actually expecting the tackle and manoeuvres himself to get in the right position, and then gets taken out.
Suarez made a living of winning
Can I-
penalties.
But
like
the thing
that.
is-
You
but
get
the
your
thing is
body
with
in the right
Maddison-
position
what-
and you take the challenge.
What else can Salah do? Like, answer me this now, right? So, right, say, for example, that's a dive or whatever, or it's simulation, all right? What else can Salah possibly do there? What
Nothing.
can he do? He can't disappear. He can't move past him. He can't dive over him. He puts the ball, he pushes it inside Mings. He gets across him. Mings goes to make tackle, thinking the ball is there. It's not there, and he gets nothing. So what actually more can he do? How is a simulation? It's not. I tell you what it is. It's fucking Mo Salah sells, and having a dig at Mo Salah is going to get you
Correct.
a fucking shitload of clicks. This, that, and the other. Well, all the other. What would
Breaks
did
the calls,
they
breaks
do
the
that
text,
yesterday
it works.
for both of his decisions?
No, but Maddison won't get the outrage like Keith said because Maddison won't get clicks like Salah would. Maddison, someone said today,
I'm
what
gonna
happened?
Give credit to Alan Shearer because Alan Shearer said it as it was last night, and he's one in the past who's had a dig at Salah for going down, but he turned around and he said he's done what he's had to do. He's put himself between the ball and he's forced Mings to make a tackle.
Forced
Now
Mings,
he's not going to
exactly.
get the ball, and he doesn't get the ball. If you impede someone making a challenge and you don't get the ball and you make contact, it's a fucking foul. If
Yeah.
it's outside the box, it's a free kick. If it's inside the box, it's a penalty.
Yeah,
There's
it is.
nothing more.
It's-
There's nothing
and I don't know
else
why.
to it.
I don't know why it's a talking point. We should just be saying,
It's a talking point gap because it's a 1-0 win.
yeah,
It's a 1-0 win again. You need to realise that the same fucking idiots who are saying all these things were the same ones last year saying that this Liverpool team is finished, they're done.
Yeah.
Klopp is busted flush. Liverpool are a busted flush. All our players are out on their feet. They're done.
Got it?
They will not make top four and they won't recover.
Well, sorry.
These are the ones who had us in August challenging for top four.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to be seen to be wrong, but we've made them look daft because, again, we're flying. We look like title challengers again. But they don't want to fucking admit that. If we want to win that game 2-3-0, there's not a word said about Salah's
No.
penalty.
And a few people have said there that they haven't seen Maddison. One pair said I didn't see it. He was watching the West Ham game or something. Maddison gets the ball on the right edge of the box, takes a touch inside. The Newcastle defender's standing there. Maddison takes a touch, and I swear to God, go and find it. If you type in Maddison penalty on Twitter, you'll get a video of it. The chap is horizontal before he puts his leg out to hit the Newcastle defender, and you can see the Newcastle defender reacting when he hits him by trying to pull his leg back on. What's going on here? And a penalty is given. Now they bashed them 4-0, but it's still one of those where I think
Salah is so
if Salah's a talking point, this one is like we should be making a program on it.
No, Salah has to play a different game to everyone. Like, how often do you see players like literally how often do you see Salah like that putting his hands up in the air like that when he's getting dragged back?
Yeah.
He has to make it clear to the ref that he's being impeded. But he's even stopped doing that because he knows he doesn't get the fouls.
The other side of this is
So he
it
stopped doing that
influences.
now. And it just so happens that this is now, he stopped doing that now and he's just ghosting players.
Yeah.
Because he's
I
literally
guarantee
stopped
you
doing
this
that.
influences referees going forward because they're
Yeah,
only
100%,
human.
yeah.
I
He won't
guarantee
get
you.
the tap.
No, you won't get the next one.
No.
And the other side of yesterday's decision as well, it was a 3:00 kickoff. It wasn't the Sky game or the BT game. The vast majority of people in England didn't see the incident until after the phone-in shows were done. So unless you watched it by whatever means, if you're living in England,
Or you're living with Keith.
or you're living with Keith,
Yeah.
then you won't know. So you're going to listen to the phone-ins. You'll hear Liverpool. Liverpool get attention, and I guarantee you, their listenership, their number of texts they get, the number of tweets they get, all ramps up the second Liverpool are mentioned, because the same doesn't happen with Leicester, the same doesn't happen with Villa, the same doesn't happen with Spurs, with Harry Kane. Purely and simply, no offence to those clubs, they're smaller. They don't have the global reach because they're TalkSport.
Well, I fully expect Andy Goldstein to be on tomorrow telling you that he had an issue with Mo Salah.
Yeah.
That's just the truth.
And that won't even be his opinion. That'll be some blatant producer.
Well, it is his opinion because he's a fucking
not
tick.
even his opinion.
Chris Brack says Salah's penalty was class, dealt with the VAR delay, the Villa antics, post and in Martinez, no chance. It was a great penalty, bang off the post. And in fairness, Ming's reaction is one of those where he just knows he's going.
He knows.
He shouldn't have thrown the tackle in. He should have kept running with him. But he throws the tackle in his momentum then. So it's one of those. And someone else says there, like, what annoys him is that we're making so much of this, and the City one yesterday is not being made much of. And look,
I think the City one, for what it's worth, I think the fact that City didn't get the one in the first half meant they got that one in the second half.
Yeah, but that's another case of just
incompetent
refereeing an occasion rather than refereeing the actual situation. But look, that's the way it goes. But look,
the penalty is excellent. The penalty is excellent, and Martinez is a shithouse.
I like him for it, though.
I like him. I think he's a great keeper.
I like him.
I think he's a great keeper. But he's imposing, and he's big, and he puts players off. We've seen it before. He puts players off taking penalties. So that added to Mo. And if you saw just before he's taking it, Mo's bleeding, taking a deep breath and closing his eyes. As Seany said, never confident when Mo takes a penalty.
Never confident when a left footer takes a penalty. I'd rather watch me dad get out of back than watch left footers take penalties. You know what? We should sign Rafinha. Because he takes penalties with his right foot. That's good enough for me.
Oh, he takes a skip, though.
I'll have to skip Kev all day. Left footers taking the penalty. I swear to God, they're all snakes. I don't trust a single one of them. I was looking at that yesterday going, I was sitting in a booze, I would go away watching it. I was going with the missus saying to myself, oh, no
21
way.
in a row.
He's missed one in the Champions League. Other than that, he scored every single one.
I know.
The way he hits
Champions League is the worst penalty ever taken. It's the worst penalty ever taken.
Yeah, but it's again Hugo Lloris who just is allergic to football. Mike in the world wants Seany to stand up and give us a twirl before he hits boy now. Fuck off, Mike. Will you just boy the thing? Jesus. Take a picture and send it to us. You won't look as good as it in it as Seany.
You don't just jump into bed. You better blame me and die me first 5 seconds.
Yeah, don't be fucking looking for your Olaf Seany straight off the bat. You know what I mean? Didn't even offer to buy him the white version of it. Well, look, he scores the penalty and Liverpool go 1-up. And Villa come out and try to... We've covered that thing with Ings, Matip, Alisson, and I think the actual clearest view of it was on Match of the Day last night, where you see Alisson clearly getting a hand on the ball and stuff like that. And as Kev said, Ings pushes Matip in towards Alisson as he's coming out. But you know something? I'd be delighted with these games when we win 1-0. Like, they give me the most, they probably give me the most satisfaction. You know, like, when Liverpool win 4-0, you go, fucking great win, you know, really made a statement and stuff. But when it comes, you know, when that final whistle goes at 1-0, you really go, fucking yes, you know what I mean? And especially what was going on with City earlier on the day. Chelsea, I had Chelsea, literally got 2 screens. So I was watching Liverpool on one, Chelsea on another. And I was like, I'm watching Liverpool in injury time, and then I'm looking at this Leeds fella just booting this Chelsea fella in the leg, and I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So when Chelsea score, I'm a bit deflated, but then I'm like, but Liverpool won, absolutely brilliant, because all you can do is look after yourself at the end of the day, really. That's what you can do, you know. Man of the match, boys, because I have a few things I want to get through before we finish. So, man of the match, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
Can I talk about one thing
who
won't be getting man of the match, right? I thought Alisson was fucking deplorable yesterday. Right. And he's allowed to have games like that. Because the mix-up happens. I mean, the Danny Ings one is a bit sloppy by Alisson, but in the first half, he nearly cleans out Ashley Young. And Ashley Young is a diving pig. Yeah. And the only reason that he didn't get a penalty there is because he closes his eyes because he thinks Alisson is coming out. Alisson slips and he's floundering. If Ashley Young has his eyes open there, he's going over, and that's as clear the penalty as you'll get, because he'll make sure that a trailing leg touches off Alisson and he gets a penalty. I thought Alisson was a bit off form yesterday, so he won't be getting my man of the match. Just wanted to get that in. He's brilliant and he's been doing great for us, and he has these games every now and again. I just thought it was an off day yesterday, but Villa didn't muster a shot.
Amrit is with you. He said I think what he's trying to say is it's a long time since so many errors from Alisson. He legit had me nervous for the match. The funny thing is, when the match is tight, you will see something like that from Alisson. You know, a fluffed kick along the ground or whatever it is. But then again, like,
he doesn't give a shit though.
No, he doesn't because
That's
a minute later
about
he'd be just plucking one out of the top corner.
Rushes
like,
are off.
You know what I mean? Like
rushes are off.
He's fucking deadly. Seany, before Keith rudely interrupted you, man of the match or anything else you would like to say on the game before we move on?
No, man of the match for me is, I'm gonna give it in this world where, in the planet where Mo Salah doesn't exist, our player of the year so far, Joel Matip,
100%,
was monstrous yesterday. Absolute monstrous. This fella does not get the credit. He's the best centre back in the Premier League at the moment.
100%. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I was
Hands
going to
down.
say the exact same thing.
He's an absolute monster. He's so good. This carrying the ball now is becoming a thing where you see it's like playing Moses and the
straight
line. You can't get near him because it's just limbs going everywhere. And he was absolutely outstanding yesterday. I'm going to get past the part that I don't even think he's underrated anymore. I think people are starting to see now just how good this fella is. And I tell you what, we're at December now, and I'm not jinxing, I'm touching wood. No injuries. Yeah. Look how good this fella is when he's playing on a regular, on a consistent level. And there's at times where he's digging Virgil van Dijk out. And that's not a slight on Virgil. It's just this fella has really made that position his own this year, because there was Gomez coming back from injury and a young Kanate coming in, snapping at his heels. And this fella hasn't put a foot wrong all season. He's been absolutely immense in both attack and defence. He gives us a different dimension going forward. You see him splitting midfields and defences with these runs. And it's a nightmare. It's become a facet of our play that I love watching. And he's an absolute monster. Wins everything. The fella is built like a budgie's ankle, but he's strong as an ox. Nobody gets near him. He seems to bully everybody. And I thought Watkins was good yesterday. I think he puts himself about, but he was well dealt with by the two lads, and they were imperious yesterday. But for me, bar Mo Salah, our player of the season, Joel Matip, absolutely incredible.
Just this on Salah, which I forgot to talk about on the pen. 22 games, 21 goals, 9 assists. That's Mo Salah this season.
Stupid.
It's a fucking joke. Me and you keep saying it. It's a joke. But I thought I'd throw it out there because
I hate his guts because he's normalising this. Do you know what I mean? And whatever comes after it, this isn't normal.
It's a bit like the Messi and Ronaldo thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've normalised scoring 50 goals.
When you get to January and you're normally 20 points clear, you say, I better put this up to professional. Mo has 30 goal involvements in December. This is a bit stupid at this stage, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. Like 22 games, 21 goals, and 9 assists. And it's just ridiculous. Kev, then Keith for man of the match. Can I go and get another can?
Go ahead.
Thanks, bud. Right, go on. Kev, then Keith.
No, I said yesterday Trent, and I'll stick with Trent purely and simply. I thought Joel was brilliant. Have you seen the tweet that went around about Joel Matip going on a wonder? With him superimposed on the Hobbit.
The Lord of the Rings meme.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings one. It's absolutely sensational, that account. But no, I thought Trent was brilliant yesterday. Some of the deliveries from set pieces especially. Virgil should have done better with the corner that he had, with the chance he had. Martinez made a cracking save off that. It's something that we score plenty from set pieces, but I think we could do better. You know, Matip is 6'5", Virgil 6'4". You know, we should do more from that. But I thought Trent's counter pressing was brilliant. 12 ball recoveries yesterday. When you have him penned in, the fact that he's acting as a right centre mid, and he doesn't care if the ball is chipped over the back of him. He's not afraid to have that ball chipped over the back of him because he'll trust himself either to have cover or to get back. I love that about his game. That he's playing at the moment without fear. He was player of the month last month, which surprised me that he got it purely and simply because there was 2 Liverpool players in the running for it, and the vote is decided by the FIFA community. And the FIFA community will usually vote for the most meta player who's in the game, which would have been Diogo Jota. But they went for largely, overwhelmingly for Trent. And he's carried that form into this month. And I thought he was outstanding yesterday. I really did. I thought he was brilliant.
Keith?
Yeah, I thought Trent was great. I thought Robbo was equally as good. On the other side, I thought he was excellent as well. Fabinho, I thought was brilliant in midfield, as you'd expect. I think Thiago had a poor game. I think Virgil was okay. He had a few dodgy moments. Ali, I didn't think was great. But I can't go past Matip because I agree with Seany. We done a show a few weeks ago about the team of the season so far, and I think we all sort of had Matip, and people were sort of questioning that. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. I'm hard pressed to think of a better defender than Joe Matip in Europe at the moment. There's not many. There is not many. And he doesn't get the plaudits. No, he doesn't get the plaudits because he's not that type of player that people will talk about. Like, no one outside Liverpool is really talking about Joe Matip. They'll see him in a game and think, oh, he had a good game. But they'll think that's the exception rather than the rule, whereas we're starting to see now it's the rule. Joe Matip is excellent. His covering, his pace, his carrying of the ball, is just his all-round game intelligence. Like, he's so fucking smart. I think he's absolutely sensational. I think this year he's been brilliant. And I thought yesterday, Ollie Watkins doesn't get a sniff. Ollie Watkins is a difficult centre-forward to deal with because he constantly goes into channels. And, we don't have fullbacks that'll sit back there and sort of cover that. So Matip's getting dragged everywhere to cover, and Virgil, and I thought he handled them so bleeding well. And I think Matip, the run is amazing, but he's doing it every game. Do you know what I mean? Like, Konate done it in pre-season where he was getting the ball and he was running through, and we were all saying, Jesus, that's like Joe Matip, because Joe Matip does that. Everyone has, Thiago has his little shoulder drop where he goes. Joe Matip has his run where he beats 6 or 7 players and carries it deep into the other half, and it's
he used to be a centre mid, didn't he?
Yeah, he played for Schalke.
It's the fitness thing, though. Like, I put a stat up there earlier. He's played 12 league games this season, and I think we've played 15 in total, have we?
16, I think.
We played 16 in total.
Yeah.
He's played 12, and I think for the 4 of them, I think he might be rested.
Yeah.
He's rested away at United, isn't he? It's not a case of him having any major injuries, that sort of way. And I think that's the big thing. Somebody does say
managing it.
Matip has legs like Dalsum from Street Fighter 2. Anyone want to make a comment on that?
Okay. Flame.
Sure,
Flame.
Jonathan's actually gone hard in here on Keith. He says,
I was going to say, pull that comment up.
Never forget.
I was selling Salah and
you were selling everyone
as well, so I wouldn't be too worried about pulling me up.
You were selling the main stand and opening an Aldi for fuck's sake. You were selling.
I was selling 16 players, so Matip was the least of my problems that I have to live with.
I'm going to even it up. I thought Trent was very good. I think Kev's gone for Trent. Am I right?
Yeah, I did,
I thought he was very good again. And, I was delighted, like you said, with him getting the player of the month because he's deserved it. I think he's been fucking brilliant. And literally the only thing people have to throw him at the moment is he can't defend, and that's a fucking myth. An absolute another myth. Because A, he can, and B, you have to watch the way Liverpool play and the positions he's in when Liverpool are actually having to defend because of the way we want to play. So it's a bit null and void, that argument at times for me. So I would go Trent.
His cross selection is standing out to me this year.
Yeah.
Far better, more varied.
Deep, whipped. Yeah.
He's going deep into the back post. He's not afraid to hit Robbo now when he's in that. He's not afraid to use that diag straight to Robbo when he's in the final third. He's going inside now. He's becoming more and more unpredictable, and that's why we're scoring a lot more goals. To be honest with you, because he's pushing right up, and then it's not just this. I'm just going to bounce this on the penalty spot. He's whipping them low. He's going far post. He's literally going inside to Hendo, Thiago. They're getting little wall passes. So it's all happening to him. Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant yesterday. Like, look, he won't get any arguments from me regarding Trent. The back 4. I thought the back 4 of the unit were brilliant. But I know Alisson was a bit mad, but the big talking point yesterday was we didn't allow them anything in terms of shots. That was the big worry about Liverpool in October, November, September, is that we were leaking goals, but now Chelsea are like a save, and we're back to our best. So it just the
10
tides are
clean,
a little
10
bit.
clean sheets in 16 games.
Yeah, exactly. We had a few games where we were giving up 2s and 3s, but it seems to be a thing of a past.
Brentford and West Ham, we give up 6 and them too, isn't it?
Well,
6 goals.
Once we just stop giving up all these offside chances, we'd be all right.
Yeah, the ones that are miles offside, we'd be grand.
Yeah.
And Dicko says, does every away fan that comes here have the same shitty song sheet before leaving home? Yes, is the answer to most of them. I said this the other day. You're better off having teams from the Championship and League One coming up because they enjoy their team more than talking about yours. And I seen on Twitter today where the irony is they're talking about Liverpool and sign on and feed the Scousers and stuff like that with Steven Gerrard standing in the dugout. And B, they are singing on behalf of a club that I seen on Twitter today that are from Aston, one of the most deprived areas in England. So, and that's not me having a go at Aston, by the way. But this is what.
As they spend expecting these football fans to be self-aware.
But you kind of need to be self-aware, Seany. I think there's enough around it nowadays.
Yeah, but they're just gobshites.
You know what I mean?
Honest with you. Like you said, they'd be rolling them songs out when we're all dead. That's
true. But the thing is, like, there's not many clubs in the UK now at the moment that don't have food banks outside the football ground. There's not many. The sort of way. I'm sure there might be some outside Aston Villa. I'm sure if there was one outside Aston Villa, Liverpool fans would go and donate or bring something to it. The same way there's one outside Anfield and at the corner of the Cop and the Kenny Dalglish stand at most of not all.
Once we don't say anything about bleeding what Chelsea are and what we call Chelsea, then we won't be. Once it's not Liverpool doing it, it's all right. Once when we start doing it, imagine Liverpool fans were giving out about food banks.
Yeah, well there you go.
Imagine the narrative. I don't want to. This is getting political now, but fucking for people to be so bleeding, so with the lack of self-awareness to see what's going along in the UK at the moment with the shite government that's stuck with and people bleeding,
literally not being able to fucking eat,
drowning in poverty. Look, he's a rival player.
It's sad.
He's a rival player, and he's well commended for the work Marcus Rashford has done. And then you have fucking people singing in the stands about the Scousers and this, that, and the other.
But they'll be in the pub. They'll be in the pub afterwards telling you how Boris Johnson is this, that, and the other, which would be true. But it's a bit hypocritical when you're doing something in the ground and coming out 15 minutes later to have a go at Boris Johnson.
But Liverpool are the ones with the victim complex, of course. You know what I mean?
Like, so this is it.
Let's not get outside the box here because that's not what you're supposed to do. But some of these football fans need to take a hard, long look at themselves and realise the situation that they're living in and how fucking privileged they are that they get to travel up from Aston to watch playing professional football on a Saturday, and that's the least of their worries. So, fair fucking play to them.
Yeah, but I think
fans were as bad last week as well.
I think it has to be noted that it's not only Aston Villa fans. Aston Villa fans were singing songs yesterday, but it's kind of become. There's no impact of those songs anymore because people just go, oh, they're doing that again, Eddie. There's no outrage about it. It's just actually sad.
But when Liverpool said Chelsea rent boy, there was all sorts of outrage. Yeah, there is nothing about that, and it's every single game. It's audible on every single game. It's disgraceful, and it's something that's a lot more prevalent than Chelsea rent.
I heard it yesterday in the Norwich game. And 6 minutes in, you've got a brand new manager, and 6 minutes in, your away fans are singing that. Talk about rent free. It's sad. That's all it is.
No lack of intelligence.
It's sad.
It is sad. But do you know what the funny thing is? Like, the more you get worked up about it, the chances are the more they'll do it.
They're just shit.
It's just ridiculous. Ronaldinho says, unpopular opinion, our current best front three is Jota, Bobby and Salah. Just look at the United game, best chemistry. Mane too slow recently. Nah, Mane is like top floor in the league. But listen, I always say, don't be picking three. Just be happy you've 4 or 5 and you can move them around, and you're going to see that next month as well.
Mane scoring goals at the same level he was in 1920 when he was probably player of the season. So chill out. Just because he's failing the eye test, look at the numbers. He's doing his job. That's all he's there to do. Let's look at leaving players. What's the point of digging them out? They're doing it for a reason.
Exactly, but even like I know we all sort of say that Ox in the 9 didn't work today. Ox has been playing very well. We touched on that. Maybe the game yesterday wasn't the right game for it. You know, you're talking about Ezri Konsa is one of the quickest defenders in the league, and Tyrone Mings is quite quick as well. If I had been, look, if my auntie had ball, she'd be my uncle. But if that was the Newcastle game coming then and you're missing Jota, Ox could have had a much more impactful game against their centre backs. Do you know what I mean? So there's players there that are going, we're slotting them in. It didn't work for Ox yesterday. These players are coming in. It could be Ox, it could be Taki, it could be Divock, it could be Bobby, Jota, Mane, Salah. Just to appreciate them for what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? If they're not stinking the place out, there's no need maybe to be lashing them, you know?
The one thing that you're going to get off the ball, all 5 or 6 of those players know exactly the job they have to do. There's a comment there. Do you think we sign anyone in January? I don't. And well, if we do, it won't be someone to impact in January, mainly because it takes so long to learn how to do this press properly. Because all it takes is one person not doing it properly and you're screwed. You're chasing your tail.
Well,
Divock, Taki, Ox all know how to play without the ball, and that's vital for us.
I want to give a shout out to James Milner, 573 Premier League appearances yesterday. He's moved up to 4th place in the overall rankings, and I'm absolutely delighted for him. I don't think he'll get near the top. I think he needs another 100 appearances or something to get there, and I don't think he has it in him. But I was delighted to see that stat yesterday from James Milner, 573 Premier League appearances, and he's moved into 4th position in the all-time ranking. I want to ask you, lads, before we go, the draw for the Champions League. Paris Saint-Germain, Sporting, Lisbon, Inter, Benfica, Villarreal, Salzburg. I think they're the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams we can get. We can't get Chelsea.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah, 11 o'clock tomorrow.
So about 4 o'clock?
Yeah, about 4 o'clock will be done. But we can't get Chelsea because they're from the same country as Liverpool, and we can't get Atletico because they were in our group. So I want to ask you, A, who you'd like, and B, who you think. So Keith, go first.
I don't give a shit, to be honest.
Good man, I love it.
Genuinely,
Let's have
Paris
all that
Saint-Germain, I mean, look, Paris Saint-Germain signed Neymar, signed Messi. They have Neymar, they have Mbappe, they signed Sergio Ramos, they signed Donnarumma, they signed fucking Hakimi. They signed so many players, but I'm looking at them and I just think we look a better team than they do. And the rest of them don't really care. Like, I don't think there's great teams in that. I think Paris Saint-Germain are the threat and they can click at any time. But, you know, I think we get Salzburg and I wouldn't mind getting Salzburg because I think they're a good team. I don't want just the handiest. I think Sporting Lisbon would be the handiest, but I think Salzburg would be a nice game. But I don't know. I think they could get PSG, and I don't give two shiny shites if we do.
Sean, you fear anyone in that list?
Yeah, I don't want to play PSG. Pad the least resistance for me.
Get them
doesn't
now.
matter how good we are, it's always the pad the least resistance for me. That's the way I see it. Not that I doubt that. Paris is a tough place to go. They beat everyone at home in the Champions League. They've got world-class players all over the pitch. I'd rather someone else dealt with them. That's just the way I see it, to be honest with you. I'd much rather.
We could take them out now and kill their season off now. Whereas I don't trust a lot of the other teams to do it.
Does the other side, look, just give me a team, look, pass to the next round. I don't care if you don't play anyone up until the final of that. Because when the history books are written, nobody talks about who you play bang, bang, bang in a row. So give us, do you know what? Either of the Portuguese teams will do me.
I'd love Sporting Lisbon and PSG to get Manchester United. That's what I'd love. Because and then they might bring Ole back as an advisor because he's deadly against PSG. Keith, or not Keith, Kev, who do you want? Who do you think we get?
I don't see. The thing is, some of the Sporting Lisbon have some decent players. Pedro Gonçalves of Sporting Lisbon is a very good player. I wouldn't mind a closer look at him. I think we go through. There's no fear for me in any of those sides. Yeah, Milan or PSG can click and on it over a 90-minute game, they can cause you problems. But with the second leg at home, you'd fancy yourself to go through against anyone. Inter Milan, I think, would be the nicest tie. It's a big enough name to put to get a bit of a fear that you're going
Keep you
to
on your toes.
a decent side. It keeps you hungry. It's not like a gimme, but you, they're nowhere near the Inter Milan sides of previous years. Nowhere near.
Okay. It's going to be an interesting draw. Weren't we talking about it, Jordan, the week after one of the games? Was it me and you, Kev?
I think
Remember.
so.
Was it me and you, Keith? I can't fucking remember. It was after one of the games. Who done the show after the Milan game?
No, it was you and Keith, wasn't it?
Me and Keith. Was it me
Yeah.
and you,
Well,
Keith?
what talking about the draw?
Yeah, we are talking about what teams were there and stuff like that. Was it you? I can't
don't know,
fucking
I
remember.
can't
We do that
remember.
much stuff now. I can't remember what's going on. It's fucking ridiculous. I'll have to look it back. The
Might have been the
secretary at this
midweek
stage
last
to go,
week.
listen, Jacinta, what were we doing during the week? I can't remember. It was one of you that we were talking about, and we were saying, like, if the draw lines up in a certain way, you could literally end up with the 8 best teams still left in it. You know, the sort of way. If it falls the right way. But rest of the week on the channel, what day is tomorrow? Monday. Well, Man on Football show is tomorrow, 9 o'clock on the other channel. Me and Phil wants a jumping off point of goalkeepers kicking the ball out of their hands in the 1980s. And as I said, you can do anything you want after that. You can just throw memories at us, sending offs, goals, misses, red cards, fucking managers going mad, player, whatever you want for 45 minutes. It's absolutely open to you. 10 o'clock will be the forum on a Monday night as well. That's coming at you tomorrow. Tuesday, I think we have a night off because Liverpool play Thursday. Wednesday will be the midweek fix. Thursday will be the full-time Reds. Friday will be Sports Unplugged, where Kev vents about Formula 1 for an hour and a half and Chris looks at him. And
Chris will bring his pillow again.
yeah, and we're back at it then the weekend, whatever's coming up. Women's FA Cup, Burnley 0, Liverpool women 4 today. Chris Brackett reminds us there as well. And there's a women's show coming up this week as well. They're recording on Monday, so we hope to have that out Monday afternoon, Monday evening as well. So there's loads coming. Sienna is home. She's arrived home from America in grey form, by the sounds of it. So she starts her rehab over here now, but she's absolutely flying, lads. Like, ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean? She'd be doing fucking heads and volleys and all, I'd say, in the next couple of weeks. She'd be playing on the volley around lampposts and shit if she keeps up the way she's going on. But I just wanted to give you that update because she's absolutely flying. And it's great to see, and right in time for Christmas as well, which means that our family are home for Christmas, doing rehab throughout Christmas, but to arrive home to such a positive outcome to what everything she's gone through in America over the last month is absolutely brilliant. Veranda Cheese is delighted that Max is the F1 World Champion.
He's looking for bites now.
Of course, he's looking for bites. At the end of the day, like, the wrong decision was made, Veranda, and you know it. We leave it at that. But anything else before we go, Shawnee?
I think we should give the F1 5 minutes, to be honest.
Okay, so right, so let me paint this picture. So the Formula 1 goes down to the last
Lap.
last race.
The last lap.
Yeah, no, but let me paint this picture because I'm gonna let Kev go on this. I might go over smoke actually while he does it.
No. It's...
But the last race, Hamilton is leading by 11 seconds with 4-ish laps to go. One of the drivers spins off the track. Safety car comes out. All the commentators are telling you that this won't finish. You know, as a race, and then it all unfolds. Now, I am going for a smoke while he does this because I've had a big long chat with him about it. Okay, so Kev, you are now the host of the Fatback 4 Formula 1 special, and you can tell us what unfolds, what you think of it, and then Keith and Shawnee can reply. Go.
Well, what unfolded literally was the race steward decided to ignore the set rules, which are you let all the cars pass or none of the cars pass, one of the two. And the cars come in after if you let all the cars past, they have to catch up to the end of the train. Safety car comes in at the end of the following lap, which meant the race would have finished under the safety car. Now, the race director clearly didn't want that to happen, and he manufactured a situation where he allowed the 5 cars that were between Lewis and Max to pass the safety car, allowing Max to close up on Hamilton to within At one stage, he actually passed Hamilton behind the safety car, but they ignored that one. Max was on fresh, brand new tyres because of the situation, and Lewis was on 41 lap old hard tyres. And when the race started back, one lap, Lewis was a sitting duck, couldn't do anything about it. Now, Max Verstappen's done absolutely nothing wrong in any of this. It's not his fault. This is purely and simply down to the race director. Veranda, which rule? Is literally in the rules that if a race is under those conditions where there's debris in the track, the safety car is out, the unlapped cars have to unlap themselves. So they go around as fast as possible. They have to get back behind the train of cars before the start of the next lap. That didn't happen. What happened was the race director let the 5 cars go through that were between the two.
Wow. It's all or nothing.
He manufactured a situation where there was a one-lap race. Now, Hamilton clearly had the faster car because he was leading by about 12, 13 seconds before the Latifi crash. But with brand new tyres and a tow, Lewis was a sitting duck, and the World Championship was decided in the race director's mind. Whether Netflix series had anything to do with that, I don't know. I doubt it. It's just very contrived. I mean, fair play to Max Verstappen. It's been a phenomenal season. But for me, there's an asterisk beside that decision to award him the race. They gifted him the race, basically. And it's just a damn shame.
I think the FIA knew today that more eyes on Formula 1 there have been, I'd say, in the last probably 20 years.
Yeah, since Schumacher.
And they have seen an opportunity to let this spill over into next year. And like Kev said, there's absolutely no doubt about it. If you're turning around today and saying that was fair what happened, you're talking out your arse. Because when Hamilton is 11 seconds up with 6 laps to go, he's not making that time up. Not Lewis Hamilton. There's not a racing driver, dead or alive, that would have made that time up on him. The rules are the rules, but you can't go to the fucking halfway house to make it a shootout. That's not what it's about. Rules are there to be followed. That's the way I see it. I thought Hamilton was desperate unlucky today because he just misses the opportunity to box and get soft tyres for himself as well, which he could have done. You know what I mean? So
he actually couldn't, Seany. That was the problem.
Yeah, he was too late.
If he decided to come in first, Verstappen would have stayed out.
And then he would have had him. Yeah.
But his tyres were 19 laps fresher than the ones that Hamilton was originally on. So even on the fast soft tyres, Hamilton wouldn't have been able to get him.
Veranda Chase is just dinging out Hamilton there because it's an anti-Hamilton thing. Put it like, look, we all go on about how it's the car and all, but then why don't Mercedes pay someone a 12th of the salary to drive the car then? Why give Hamilton more money than anyone else if it's just the car?
If it was the car, then not Kimi Räikkönen because he retired today, but Lewis Hamilton's teammate would have been right up his arse all day. He wasn't. Exactly. He was about 5th or 6th. They were in the same machinery. The truth is, Hamilton and Verstappen are streets ahead of the rest. Absolute streets. And between the two of them, there's only seconds in any race between the two of them. And the best analogy I heard today was it's the equivalent of you're playing a game of football in school, you're 10-0 up, and someone turns around and says next goal wins while they're on the break, and your keeper's out, and your keeper's already gone off to class. That's literally what happened. And this will end up in CAS because the rules that are set out, the FIA's own rules that were set out, weren't followed. Yeah, it was Bottas is his teammate, and he was nowhere near. In the same way as Verstappen's teammate, Perez, was nowhere near. These two drivers are elite. They're the best drivers in the world, bar none. And it's just a shame that this World Championship, which has been epic, was settled on a poor decision. But next season, it's brand new because next season, this is the last race for those cars. That car design is redundant. From next year, the whole car design changes, the regulations change, the tire size changes, the aerodynamics change, everything. You're literally, next season, it's 95 days away. Next season, you're going to get a brand new grid with brand new drivers in different teams, and it's God knows what's going to happen. But
all I would say is that you know, I don't think I watched the Formula One race in full since about 1996. But Kev got us into it over the last 6 weeks. So Kev, do me a favour, give me a ring, will you? In about 48 weeks' time, and let me know how the fucking season's going, and I'll jump on it again.
Ones in the chat. None of this takes away from the fact that Lewis Hamilton is a better driver than anyone that you've ever preferred in your life, because he's literally the best ever doer, in my opinion.
To be honest with you, like I was watching it, and I was texting Kev at the time, because I was texting Kev at the time and saying to him, like, what's going on here? And I was literally walking off what everyone on Sky was saying, and basically what they were saying.
And that's probably a bit of a red herring, because they're all Brits. But at the end of the day,
they were following the rules.
I think Kev's analogy nailed on the head.
Well, Kev should be on Formula One. He should be on Sky Sports F1. He should be.
Kev's one was the best.
If he does get onto Sky Sports Formula One, we're definitely buying him a "Come on, you boys in green jacket."
Your man's calling you in for the dinner, and it's next go or winner, and they're like you said, and it's last man back, and you're up fucking. I felt sorry for him, but I tell you one thing.
He was classic.
I'd love to see the contrast now today if Verstappen had been beaten, because he would have been still standing in the pit, rattling out excuses as to why he didn't win the race. But Lewis Hamilton, as usual, all class, didn't say anything and walked away. And I imagine that the decision to appeal was nothing got to do with him. It
was an epic end to the season, like that I followed for 4 weeks. But it was an epic end to the season, right? But at the same time, Kev said something to me earlier, and he went, "It's a brilliant end, but it's going to alienate a shitload of people that actually took up watching this sport over the last 6 months."
I don't think it will.
I think it'll bring the fair weather support into it, and it will alienate the genuine fans maybe more so.
I think the Netflix series will do a lot, because the Netflix series...
That's what got me into it.
Yeah, and that will come out before the start of the next season.
My idea of Formula One was, it's the best car and the best driver, but the best part of Formula One is the teams in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
Them finding it out, because that's the proper racing. They're the ones with now money.
But you look at Ferrari, and the notion that Ferrari is the oldest it's probably the oldest car franchise on the grid still, and they're struggling really badly. The idea that Mercedes came from nowhere when they came into the sport, with Michael Schumacher going there to develop the car, they brought in Lewis Hamilton after 2 or 3 years from Red Bull, and from McLaren, and Mercedes have just kicked on like you wouldn't believe. Now, the Red Bull team are based in Milton Keynes. Like, the majority of the teams, the F1 teams, are based in the UK, because the amount of engineering courses that are done at university that are designed for the motor racing industry and funded by the motor racing industry is phenomenal. There's the amount of money that industry creates in the UK is unreal, and it's massive. But the best thing that happened today was that race was on Channel 4. It was on free to air, and everyone could watch it.
Yeah.
And the reason why I said it could alienate so many people is people have an inbuilt notion of what's fair and what's not fair, and they could see this being manufactured into something that just simply wasn't fair.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it played out.
I think you're right. I think I can only see 2 scenarios there today. One was, and this is me talking to you, that like, as I watch no Formula One, like genuinely, Kev has been on me going, just watch this. It's going to the wire, and he said it 4 races ago. Well, I think Verstappen might have been 12 or 15 points clear, and
he was 33 points ahead.
But going back a couple of weeks ago, wasn't there a 12 or 15 point gap, and they were like, "Oh, will he keep it?" And you were saying to me, "Just watch it, because this is going to the wire." There's no Hamilton will just go for everything now, and I watched today going, they're definitely just running the safety car to the death, and he wins it, or they're keeping all them cars between him for 2 laps and he's winning it because he won't have enough time to catch him, and then something else completely unfolded. And to be honest with you, I know where you get the alienation thing for certain people, but I will probably genuinely in 95 days time take up an interest and go, all right, what's happening? And we'll keep more of a thing. Now,
where are they this season as compared to last season? What's
my wife was used to it going, oh, he's watching something fucking else. Like, she walk in the cinema and watching curling, you know. And, you know, I'll be watching old videos of Alberto Tomba doing fucking ski jumps from the fucking mid-90s. But my daughter's having none of it. She's like, seriously, we just stop watching all this fucking stuff. So I'll probably have to sneak upstairs and watch a Kev, to be honest with you. But it's been a brilliant show. We've got Formula 1 in, and we've got a Sienna update in. We've got a match. We've bought some clothes. We've done all sorts of stuff tonight. It's been absolutely cracking.
Being eclectic,
yeah, it's been really good. Make sure to hit the like on the way out. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Share it, do all that sort of stuff. And if you're listening on the audio download, please hit review and give us a 5-star thing. Seany, it's been a pleasure. Are you sure you don't have anything else before we go?
Nah, I'm good.
Good. All right. Keith, have you anything else before we go? Look at him.
No.
Are you sure?
Before we go,
yeah. Before we go.
I watched the Beatles documentary last week, right?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Great stuff, right? You're watching these fellas and it's all good. It's 9 hours, a bit bleeding much, you know, a bit heavy. But yeah, on one hand, you've got the Beatles who are geniuses, but on the other hand, we lost the third monkey over the weekend. Mike Nesmith sadly passed away. Yeah. And there's only one of them left now, Mickey Delaney. So yeah, big Monkeys fan when I was younger. Used to watch them all the time.
Saturday morning TV. When anything goes, used to be on with anything goes.
Used to watch them all the time. It was great. So yeah, it's a sad moment. I expect black armbands next week during the week for all Premier League matches for Mike Nesmith.
We might do black armbands on the forum tomorrow night.
There you go. Sadly gone but not forgotten.
Alas the lads. Kev, other than you writing letters to the FIA, is there anything else before we go?
No, all good. Listen, guys, congratulations on that show last Thursday night, the Barcelona stuff. That was really, really good.
That was good, wasn't it?
Cheers.
It was definitely well worth listening to. If you guys in the chat weren't watching it live, go and check out the Man on Football podcast and go and download it and listen to it on your way into work tomorrow. It's a fascinating insight into Barcelona and how a couple of bad decisions can really catapult you down the barrel.
Yeah.
And the guys covered it brilliantly. Keith did a phenomenal amount of work covering it, and it's well worth a listen.
It was. And somebody asked us the following day, would you do something on Hicks and Gillette at Liverpool? And it really grabbed my attention. But if I'm going to be honest with you, Keith took the Barcelona thing and he went with it for the last month to look it up. I will take Hicks and Gillette, but it's going to probably take me, and I mean this, till February to get you all the stuff I want to get, because it really took me interest, and I'm hoping to go off and do some stuff and record some stuff for other people to bring to you for that show, which would be Hicks and Gillette and Liverpool, because a lot of people want to talk about it and get into it. So
but Gav, they're the type of things that we do want to do with a Man on Football show about. You know, there's a lot of other things that we've thrown out among ourselves as well.
We want to do weekly stuff where we go Barcelona or Leeds or whatever. Yeah. But there will be ones that come up and you go, wow, like this could be literally 2 months' work that we'd have to put together and bring to at some stage. So that will definitely be one of them. It's on my list here where I'm going to start trying to talk to people and bring you a comprehensive show. It could end up being 2 hours, just to let you know. But me, Seany and Keith, we do look for stuff every week, and we kind of bounce things around. I'm not too sure if we get one out this week because of the way the fixtures have fallen, and it's going to be like that over the Christmas period. But as soon as things level out, Monday and Thursday, and if we can get it in over Christmas, we will, I promise you. That has been the Fatback 4. It's been an absolute belter, and loads of people watching, loads of people liking, loads of people subscribing. As I said, we've bought clothes, we've sorted out Formula 1, Sienna, the football, we've done absolutely loads. We've told you Matip is the best defender going at the moment. Nobody has anything else to fucking say. They better not have. It's 25-12. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.